Good morning, everyone. Well, hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this. Anyway, wherever you are, I hope you're fine. Thanks so much for coming to visit my channel, Warren's Team Talk. And if you're new to my channel, I'd like to give you a big, warm welcome. And I hope that you enjoy your visit and that you find your stay interesting, informative, and a lot of fun as well, hopefully. Anyway, so I'm back today because I've got another exciting, and I hope it's going to be an interesting one for you. I really enjoyed doing this one, so let's see what you guys think. Anyway, so it's episode 32 of England's most successful football club, and in this episode today, I'm looking at Newcastle United. Well, it seems that the Warren's Team Talk bus is ready and it's raring to go. So let's get going on our trip up to see our friends in Newcastle. But before we go, just one last thing. Please, if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And please make sure you put a like on the video, and make sure you pass it on to anyone you think might find it interesting. So yeah, that'd be great. Anyway, please take care, and we'll chat again when we get to Newcastle. Okay, so here we are, everyone. We're in Newcastle, and we've just pulled up outside St James's Park. So we're going to pop in and say hello to them and have a chat and a cup of tea and a slice of cake and maybe a hobnob biscuit, who knows. But we're going to go and find out all about Newcastle United. Now, Newcastle United, they finished 9th in the Warren's Team Talk table, and they managed to get 5,570 points. And the club was formed in 1892 by the merger of Newcastle East End and Newcastle West End. And then on Friday, the 9th of December, 1892, the club adopted the name of Newcastle United. Now, there were a lot of debates and discussions before they decided on the name Newcastle United. But yeah, I think Newcastle United is probably the best one, given there was a merger between two other clubs. But that's a matter for the people of Newcastle and their supporters. But anyway, I did find it surprising, though, that in the start of their life as a football club, they used to play in red and white stripes, and they didn't start wearing their famous traditional black and white stripes until 1894. And it is also this kit that gave rise to their nickname of the Magpies, apparently. However, nowadays the club tend to use the nickname of the Toon, and their fans are known as the Toon Army. So the Toon thing comes from apparently the Geordie pronunciation of town, which is Toon, but I'm really crap at doing people's accents, so I wouldn't listen to me if I were you. Who was that guy who used to play the detective? His name was Spender or something, and he was in Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. Yeah, he had quite a good Geordie accent. Yeah, so particularly that program, there was quite a few of them. So anyway, we're here to talk about Newcastle United, not about TV programs. Anyway, so Newcastle United joined the Football League for the start of the 1893-94 season and went into the second division, Tier 2. The team plays its home matches currently at St James's Park, which currently has a capacity of 52,305. Now, Newcastle's first success came in the 1893-94 season when they finished fourth in the second division Tier 2. And this season also saw the team finish 14 points behind the second division champions Liverpool, who that season had an unbeaten league season, and they failed to win promotion, Newcastle that is, after they finished 3 points behind the top three positions in the second division, which had they finished in one of those top three positions, they would have progressed to an end of season test match to compete for the chance to be elected to be promoted to the first division. Now, hold on just a sec. Now, 4 years later, in the 1897-98 season, Newcastle United secured a second place finish in the second division Tier 2, and on this occasion they finished 3 points below Burnley, the second division champions that season, and the two also enjoyed an unbeaten home league season. And in fact, they only dropped 2 points at home, which came from a solitary league defeat all season. Now, in the end of season test matches that year, they joined the second division champions and the two bottom clubs in the first division to see which two clubs would go forward to play in the first division and second division. However, despite losing out in the test match series, the Football League eventually decided to grant promotion to Burnley and Newcastle, as they wanted to extend the first division to 18 clubs, because previously to that, the first division only had 16 clubs in it. There was also an allegation that two of the clubs in the end of season test matches colluded to ensure that they both got promoted. And so as a consequence of this, the Football League decided to scrap the test match system in favour of direct promotion and relegation between the first and second divisions. Now, 4 years later, in the 1901-1902 season, the team finished third in the first division, Tier 1, when they finished 7 points behind their bitter time-weird derby rivals, Sunderland. And then 2 years later, in the 1903-1904 season, they followed up this third place finish by finishing fourth in the fourth division. By finishing fourth in the first division, Tier 1, this season, and they finished 5 points adrift of the league champions, the Wednesday, who will go on later to be known as Sheffield Wednesday. And they also finished 2 points behind Manchester City, and 1 point behind third placed Everton. The team then went on the next season in 1904-1905 to win the first division Tier 1 title by finishing 1 point ahead of second place Everton and 2 points ahead of third place Manchester City, by scoring 72 league goals, which worked out to more than 2 goals a game. This season also saw Newcastle United reach their first ever FA Cup final, but sadly for the club, they lost 2-0 to Aston Villa in the final, which was played at the Crystal Palace Stadium in front of a crowd of over 101,000 spectators. Now, the next season, in the 1905-1906 season, the club finished fourth in the first division Tier 1 and 8 points behind that season's league champions Liverpool. The Magpies also reached their second consecutive FA Cup final when they unfortunately lost again, this time to Everton. Once again, the final was played at the Crystal Palace Stadium in London, which was played in front of a crowd of just over 75,000 people. The Newcastle United 1904-05 League champions is what you can see here. Yeah, so I know on the front it says 1905, 1906, but what that is, it's a team group picture that's taken at the beginning of the season, and that's quite common that in football that teams will have a photograph at the beginning of the season taken, which shows the team for that coming season and also with any trophies that they've won the year before. The team went on the next season, 1906-1907, to win what would be their second First Division Tier 1 title. The team would then would go on to win what would be their second First Division Tier 1 league title out of 3 that they would win in 5 years. When they finished 3 points above that season's runners-up Bristol City. Newcastle then followed up this title win in the following season, 1907-1908, by finishing 4th in the First Division, 10 points behind the league champions that year, Manchester United. This season also saw the Magpies reach their 3rd FA Cup final in 4 years when they faced Wolverhampton Wanderers once again at the Crystal Palace Stadium. But unfortunately for the team, it did not turn out to be third time lucky, as Wolves ended up defeating Newcastle by 3-1. And that was in front of a crowd of just under 75,000. And then the next season, in 1908-1909, the club put the disappointment of their 3rd FA Cup final defeat behind them by comfortably winning their 3rd First Division Tier 1 league title in 5 years, when they finished 7 points clear of second place Everton and 9 points ahead of their bitter North East rival Sunderland, who had finished 3rd. The season also saw Newcastle achieve the best defensive record in the First Division by only conceding 41 league goals all season. Hold on just a sec. Oh, I forgot to put my phone on silent, so I'm just going to do that because I don't want it to go off when I'm recording the video. Anyway, so the following season in 1909-1910 continued their habit of following up a league title success by finishing 4th. The season after, by finishing 8 points behind league champions Aston Villa. Also this season saw Newcastle win the FA Charity Shield by defeating Northampton 2-0 at Chelsea Stamford Bridge Ground. With a crowd of 7,000 in attendance. So, yeah, as you can see, they were 1-0 up at half-time and then ran out 2-0 winners with goals from a chap called Allen and one called Rutherford. Unfortunately, I was unable to find out the times of the goals that were scored. I just know that one was scored in the first half and one was scored in the second. But never mind. And then Newcastle reached their 4th FA Cup final in 6 years this season when en route to the final, they defeated Stokes 2-1 after a replay in the first round, Fulham 4-0 in the second round, Blackburn Rovers 3-1 in the third round, Leicester Fosse, who would later be known as Leicester City, in the fourth round, Swindon 2-0, and finally Swindon 2-0 in the semi-final. That game was actually played at Spurs' White Hart Lane Stadium. So, yeah, it just seems a bit unfair of Newcastle to expect them to travel all the way to London for a neutral venue. I'm sure they could have played it somewhere in the Midlands, but it's not for me to question the judgment of the FA, I suppose. But there you go. Anyway, in the final itself, Newcastle faced Barnsley at the Crystal Palace Stadium in London when 77,000 people attended. And as this game ended in a 1-1 draw, the game went to a replay, which was played at Everton's Goodison Park in Liverpool 5 days later. And for this match, there was a crowd of 60,000 in attendance. And on this occasion, Newcastle ran out 2-0, obviously not making any mistakes this time. And their 2 goals came from their centre forward, Albert Shepherd, who scored 31 goals that season to give Newcastle their first ever FA Cup victory. The next season, Newcastle in 1910-11 made it to the FA Cup final again in an attempt to defend their FA Cup trophy, but unfortunately they were not able to do so as they faced Yorkshire opponents again, as they had the previous year when they come up against Bradford City. But on this occasion, unfortunately, they lost the game, which was, it started off with a 1-1 draw at the Crystal Palace Stadium in London in front of a crowd of just over 69,000. The game then went to a replay, which was played at Manchester United's Old Trafford ground, and in front of 66,000. Bradford won 1-0 thanks to a goal from their captain, Jimmy Spears. And then the following season, in 1911-12, they followed up this FA Cup defeat from the previous year by finishing third in the First Division Tier 1, 5 points behind the league champions that year, Blackburn Rovers, and 2 points behind second-placed Everton. Newcastle would then not enjoy any further success until the 1922-23 season, when they secured a 4th place finish in the First Division Tier 1 and finished 12 points behind the league champions Liverpool and 6 points behind their bitter rivals from the northeast, Sunderland, who finished second that year. Now, the following season, in 1923-24, Newcastle again reached Wembley Stadium for the first time in their history when they faced Aston Villa in the FA Cup final. And on this occasion, Newcastle's route to the final took in the following opponents. In the first round, they defeated Portsmouth 4-2. The second round, they beat Derby 5-3 after 3 replays. And third round, they defeated Watford 1-0. The fourth round, they beat Liverpool 1-0. And then finally, in the semi-final, they beat Manchester City 2-0. And the game was played that time at St Andrews in Birmingham. So, yeah, much better than having to go all the way to White Hart Lane to play on a neutral ground for our friends from Newcastle. But anyway, in the final itself, Newcastle were able to get their revenge for the defeat Villa had inflicted on the Toon in the 1905 FA Cup final, when they defeated Aston Villa by 2-0, thanks to 2 goals in the last 7 minutes of the match, which was scored, one by a chap called Harris and one by a chap called Seymour. And then 2 seconds. Three years later, in the 1926-27 season, Newcastle went on to win the First Division tier title by finishing 5 points ahead of second place Huddersfield Town and 7 points clear of their bitter time with rivals Sunderland. So yeah, I'm sure that that would have gone down with their supporters, gone down well with their supporters, I should say. Then 5 years after their First Division title success, Newcastle returned to Wembley Stadium in the 1931-32 season for the FA Cup final for what would go down in history as the over-the-line final. The reason it was known as the over-the-line final I'll go into in a few minutes for you. Anyway, their route to the final included that season. It included defeating Blackpool 1-0 after a replay in the third round, defeating Southport 9-0 after 2 replays, and in the fourth round, defeating Leicester 3-1. In the fifth round, defeating Watford 5-0 in the sixth round, and finally defeating Chelsea 2-1 in the semi-final, a game which obviously was played at Huddersfield's Leeds Road ground. And then in the final itself, which, as I said, was known as the over-the-line final in 1932, Newcastle United defeated my beloved Arsenal by 2-1 at Wembley Stadium, thanks to 2 goals from Newcastle's John Allen and Arsenal's Robert Allen, which saw Newcastle win the trophy for the third time in front of a crowd of 92,298. Now, the match, as I said, the match itself has gone down in history as the over-the-line cup final. Now, as you could, the reason being was that what happened was that the Magpies' equaliser came as the result of a long ball that appeared to go out of play. And as you could see in the photo that I put on here, it's clearly out of play. But Newcastle's winger, Jimmy Richardson, crossed the ball into the penalty area, and the Arsenal, I don't know what happened, but Newcastle's Jack Allen scored the equaliser, and the referee ruled that the ball had not gone out of play. But as you can see, the ball is clearly out of the line, but thankfully for Newcastle, there was no VAR technology at that time to assist the referee. However, given the amount of times that the assistant referees, not VAR, I've got decisions wrong with the VAR. I don't think there's any guarantee they would have got this one right either. But there you go. That's another story. I'm not going to get into that debate today about VAR and whatnot. Anyway, the next season, in the 1932-33 season, Newcastle contested the FA Charity Shield with Everton at their James's Park Stadium, and it seems that the game itself was something of a thriller, which Everton won by 5-3, with Everton's legendary Dixie Dean scoring 4 of Everton's 5 goals. The year after losing in the FA Charity Shield, the two were then relegated to the second division, Tier 2, in the 1933-34 season, And then 3 years after suffering this relegation, in the 1936-37 season, the Magpies secured a 4th place finish in the 2nd Division Tier 2 when they finished 7 points behind Leicester City, the 2nd Division champions that season. And then also 6 points behind 2nd place Blackpool, who claimed the final promotion spot back up to the 1st Division Tier 1. That meant that, unfortunately for the team, they missed out on promotion that year. Then Newcastle would not enjoy any further success until 11 years later, which obviously was after the end of the World War II, in the 1947-48 season, when the club finished 2nd in the 2nd Division Tier 2, 3 points above the 2nd Division. So they finished 3 points behind the 2nd Division Tier 2 champions that year, Birmingham City, and secured a 2nd place finish. The Magpies that season also scored 72 league goals, which meant they were the 2nd Division's leading goal scorers that season as well. The 2nd place finish also meant that the club were promoted back to the 1st Division Tier 1 that season. And then the following year, in the 1948-49 season, Newcastle celebrated returning to the 1st Division Tier 1 by finishing 4th in the 1st Division, 6 points behind league champions Portsmouth. And then after another 2 years, in the 1950-51 season, they finished 4th in the 1st Division Tier 1 for the 2nd time in 3 years, when they finished 11 points behind league champions Tottenham Hotspur. This season also saw Newcastle reach the first of 3 FA Cup final in 5 years, when they faced Blackpool in the final at Wembley Stadium. On their way to the FA Cup final that season, Newcastle faced the following teams. Bury in the 3rd round, who they defeated 4-1. Bolton Wanderers in the 4th round, who they defeated 3-2. Stoke City in the 5th round, who they defeated 4-2. Bristol Rovers in the 6th round, who they defeated 3-1 after a replay. Wolverhampton Wanderers in the semi-final, which they won 2-1 after a replay. And then in the final itself, they defeated Blackpool, whose team included none other than Sir Stanley Matthews and Stan Mortensen, 2-0 at Wembley Stadium, as I said, in front of a crowd, a capacity crowd, in fact, of 100,000 people. And the 2 Newcastle goals that day came from their legendary number 9, Jackie Milburn. And this picture that I've shown you now shows the Newcastle team celebrating the FA Cup win. So that must have been a great day for the Magpies. Anyway, the following season, in the 1951-52 season, the Magpies again contested the FA Charity Shield with Tottenham Hotspur at Tottenham's White Hart Lane Stadium in London, which Tottenham won by 2-1 in front of a crowd of just over 27,000 people. This season also saw Newcastle reach the FA Cup final for the 2nd year running, when they faced Arsenal at Wembley Stadium again, with a capacity 100,000 crowd in attendance. And on their way to this cup final, Newcastle defeated Aston Villa 4-2 at home, Tottenham Hotspur 3-0 away, Swansea City 1-0 away. In the 6th round, they defeated Portsmouth 4-2 away. And then in the semi-final, played at Hillsborough in Sheffield, they drew 0-0 with Blackburn Rovers. And then the final then moved on to a replay where they defeated Blackburn Rovers at Ellen Road in Leeds by 2-1. And then in the FA Cup final itself, Newcastle United again defeated Arsenal as they had done 20 years earlier. However, on this occasion, there were no controversial goals. However, in this fast final, Arsenal did field several players who were recovering from injury, and as at this time there were no substitutes, and because Arsenal ended up losing 4 players through injury during the course of the match, during the course of the match, they ended up with only 7 players on the pitch by the end of the match. Newcastle took advantage of this numerical advantage, though, to win the game by 1-0, thanks to their Chilean forward, George Robledo, in the 84th minute. And then the following season, in 1952-53, Newcastle United were defeated by Manchester United 4-2 in the 1952 FA Charity Shield at Manchester United's Old Trafford Stadium. And then 2 years later, in the 1954-55 season, Newcastle reached their 3rd FA Cup final in 5 years when they faced Manchester City at Wembley Stadium. And on the way to this FA Cup final, Newcastle faced Plymouth Argyle in the 4th round away from home, a game which they won by 1-0. Brentford in the 4th round, who they defeated 3-2. Nottingham Forest in the 5th round, who they defeated 2-1. Huddersfield Town in the 6th round, who they defeated 2-0 after a replay. And then York City in the semi-final, who they defeated by 2-0 after a replay. Now, just one thing I want to say about that is that trip from Newcastle to Plymouth Argyle must have taken hours. I mean, that must have been an horrendous journey. But the fact that they managed to win 1-0 is just testament to the Magpies, in my opinion. But anyway, moving on. In the final itself, Newcastle went on to defeat Manchester City by 3-1 at Wembley Stadium in front of a crowd, again, a capacity crowd of 100,000, where the Magpies' 3 goals came from Jackie Milburn, Robert Mitchell and George Hannah. To this date, this would be Newcastle's last ever FA Cup final victory. And then the following year, in the 1955-56 season, the Magpies faced Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the FA Charity Shield, a game which they unfortunately lost by 3-0 in front of a crowd of just over 12,000 people. And then in the 1960-61 season, Newcastle United suffered a relegation to the 2nd Division Tier 2. And then 4 years after this relegation, in the 1964-65 season, the team went on to win the 2nd Division Tier 2 title when they finished 1 point ahead of 2nd place Northampton Town and 7 points ahead of 3rd place Bolton Wanderers. So that this meant that Newcastle United were then promoted back up to the First Division Tier 1. Then 4 years later, in the 1968-69 season, the Magpies made their first foray into European football and they successfully won the 1969 Intercity Fairs Cup by defeating Hungarian side Objesti Doza 6-2 on aggregate in the final. Now, as you can see, on the way to the final, they defeated Feyenoord of Holland 4-2 on aggregate, Sporting Lisbon of Portugal 2-1 on aggregate, Real Zaragoza of Spain, they defeated on the away goals rule after the tie ended 4-4 on aggregate, Vitória de Setúbal of Portugal 6-4 on aggregate, and Glasgow Rangers 2-0 in the semi-final. In the final itself, as I said, they defeated Objesti Doza 6-2 on aggregate after winning the first leg 3-0 and the second leg 3-2. So they won the game, as I say, 6-2 on it. Just won the cup 6-2 on aggregate. So fair play to them. The next season in 1969-70, Newcastle United again competed in the Intercity Fairs Cup, and on this occasion they reached the quarterfinals, but unfortunately that's when their interest in the tournament ended, when they lost on the away goals rule to Anderlecht after the tie ended in a 3-3 draw. And then for the third season in a row, in 1970-71, the Magpies again competed in the Intercity Fairs Cup, and they were knocked out on this occasion in the second round by Hungarian side Pécsi Doza on a penalty shootout after the tie ended in a 2-2 draw. And then 3 years later, in the 1973-74 season, Newcastle lost 3-0 to Liverpool in the FA Cup final at Wembley Stadium, when 2 goals from Kevin Keegan and 1 from Steve Highway were enough to see off Newcastle in front of a capacity 100,000 crowd. And then 2 years later, Newcastle United were back at Wembley Stadium again, this time for the Football League Cup final. But sadly for the Magpies, again they lost out by 2 goals to 1, again in front of a crowd of 100,000 people. And 2 years after this League Cup final defeat to Manchester City, Newcastle were again operating in the UEFA Cup, and on this occasion they went as far as the second round when they were knocked out by French side SEC Bastia 5-2 on aggregate. Then 6 years later, in the 1983-84 season, Newcastle United finished third in the second division Tier 2 and were promoted automatically to the first division Tier 1. And this season also saw fans' hero Kevin Keegan retire on the last day of the season. This season saw the Magpies finish 8 points behind the second division champions that year, Chelsea, and second place Sheffield Wednesday, who both finished the season equal on 88 points and had to be separated on goal difference to find the champions. Now, that season, I think it was that season, I did have occasion to go to St James's Park with some friends of mine who were Middlesbrough fans. I remember being in the away in with all the Borough fans, and I was chatting to my mates who were Borough fans, and this Borough fan thought I was a Chelsea fan. I just like why he thought that. I have no idea, but I found it quite amusing. Anyway, he thought I was I don't know, he was drunk or what he was, but I had a red and white scarf on and everything because I was supporting Middlesbrough that day. But it was, oh, anyway, I just thought it was highly amusing. And so did my mates who were laughing as well. But anyway, moving on. Then Newcastle then stayed in the First Division Tier 1 for 5 years before being relegated back to the Second Division Tier 2 in the 1988-89 season. And then the next year in the 1988-89 season, Newcastle secured a third place finish in the Second Division Tier 2 when they finished 5 points behind the Second Division champions that season, Leeds United, and second place Sheffield United, who both finished the season equal on 85 points, with Leeds winning the title by virtue of their superior goal difference. Newcastle, though, missed out on promotion that season as a consequence of the fact that they lost 2-0 on aggregate to their bitter North East rivals Sunderland in the end-of-season playoff semi-finals. Now, 8 years after hanging up his boots, Kevin Keegan returned to Newcastle United as manager on the 5th of February 1992 and brought his highly cavalier attacking style to St James's Park. And I know for a fact that he's looked upon at Newcastle as a god. I remember being in a pub in Newcastle and this Geordie guy that we were talking to said to me, "Come down here, son, and sit with me and watch God on the TV." So, and and he was talking about Kevin Keegan, and that was in his playing days. And yeah, it was quite interesting, really, to see how much they all loved the guy. Anyway, 3 years after suffering the pain of losing out to their bitter rivals Sunderland in the playoffs, they went on to soften this blow somewhat when they won the First Division Tier 2 title to win promotion back to the FA Premier League Tier 1 in the 1992-93 season, when they finished 8 points clear of the chasing pack, who were led by West Ham United and Portsmouth, who finished the season equal on points. The following season, in the 1993-94 season, in their first season back in the FA Premier League, the club finished third, 5 points behind the league champions that year, Manchester United. This third place finish saw the club qualify for the following season's UEFA Cup. And then in the 1994-95 UEFA Cup campaign, saw Newcastle reach the second round when they were knocked out by Atletico Bilbao on the away goals rule after the tie had ended in a 3-3 draw. Yeah, and in the previous round to that, they'd beaten Belgium side Royal Antwerp 10-2 on aggregate after winning the first leg 5-0 and the second leg 5-2. And then in the 1995-96 season, Kevin Keegan's Newcastle went toe-to-toe with Alex Ferguson's Manchester United side when they battled it out for the league title. And many observers have since claimed that the season was one of the greatest Premiership seasons ever. Newcastle had raced into an early lead in the title race, and by mid-January, their lead over Manchester United stood at 12 points. However, unfortunately for Newcastle, when Eric Cantona returned to the Manchester United team after being suspended, Manchester United had surging form, and after beating Middlesbrough 2-1 away at Newcastle, beating Middlesbrough away, Newcastle then lost 5 of their next 8 games. And when Manchester United won 1-0 at St James's Park on the 4th of March 1996, the Magpies lead was cut to a single point, and then after Newcastle's indifferent form continued, Manchester United took Newcastle's lead at the top of overtook the Newcastle at the top of the table, and opened up a lead over them, and this lead would end up being decisive. Ferguson had been, and then during the course of the season, Ferguson had been chipping away at Keegan, like I say, for most of the season. And then on the 29th of April, 1996, it all boiled over when Kevin Keegan launched into a passionate rant aimed at Ferguson and his mind games. And in the end, Manchester United won the league title by 4 points from Newcastle United. However, that being said, despite the obvious disappointment Newcastle supporters felt finishing second that season, the second place finish was their highest for 69 years. And this little picture you can see here is just a quick snippet, shows a quick snippet of what Keegan said that evening when he was being interviewed on Sky Sports and he lost his temper with Alex Ferguson. And he said, and you can tell him now, if you're watching it, we're still fighting for this title, and he's got to go to Middlesbrough and he's got to get something. And I tell you, and I'll tell you honestly, I will love it if we meet them. Love it. So yeah, that was his rant. Anyway, the following year, in the 1996-97 season, Newcastle followed up their second place finish in the Premier League the year before by finishing second again in the FA Premier League, behind Manchester United. And this time, Manchester United had a winning margin of 7 points. This second place finish meant that the Magpies also qualified for the following season's UEFA Champions League second qualifying round, and Newcastle United and Manchester United clashed at Wembley Stadium for the FA Charity Shield, a game which Manchester United won by 4-0 in front of a crowd of just over 73,000 people. Also this season saw Newcastle compete in the UEFA Cup again when they lost 4-0 on aggregate in the quarterfinals to AS Monaco. The 1997-98 season saw Newcastle United compete in the Champions League, and they were eliminated in the group stage after they finished third in the group. The highlight of their Champions League campaign that season was when they defeated Barcelona 3-2 at home, with Faustino Asprilla scoring a hat-trick. Now, the Magpies also reached the FA Cup final in the 1997-98 season. However, unfortunately for Newcastle, they lost 2-0 to Arsenal at Wembley Stadium in front of a crowd of just over 79,000. And the following season saw Newcastle reach the FA Cup final again, when again they lost 2-0, this time to Manchester United, in front of a crowd again of just over 79,000. And then in the 1998-99 season, Newcastle United competed in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, but unfortunately for the Magpies, they were knocked out on the away goals rule by Partizan Belgrade in the first round, after the tie had ended in a 2-2 draw. And the next season, in 1999-2000, Newcastle had another UEFA Cup campaign, but unfortunately they lost in the third round 1-0 against Roma after beating Zurich of Switzerland and CSK Sofia of Bulgaria. Then 2 years later, in the 2001-2002 season, Newcastle United finished fourth in the FA Premier League, 16 points behind the league champions that year, Arsenal, which was enough for Newcastle to qualify for the 2002-03 season's Champions League third qualifying round. The following season, in 2002-03, Magpies improved on their fourth place finish in the FA Premier League the year before by finishing third in the FA Premier League, finishing 14 points behind the league champions that season, Manchester United. And again, this third place finish qualified the Magpies for the following season's Champions League third qualifying round. Excuse me. Their Champions League campaign in the 2002-2003 season progressed to the second group stage, when they were finally eliminated in a group which contained Inter Milan, Barcelona and Bayer Leverkusen of Germany. The 2003-04 season's Champions League campaign saw the club eliminated in the third qualifying round, again to Partizan Belgrade, who won the tie 4-3 on penalties after the tie had ended in a 1-1 draw. After being knocked out of the Champions League in the 2003-2004 season, Newcastle were then granted entry to the UEFA Cup, and they progressed to the semi-final when they were knocked out by French side Marseille 2-0 on aggregate. And then the following season, in 2004-05, Newcastle had yet another UEFA Cup campaign after they'd finished fifth in the FA Premier League. And on this occasion, the UEFA Cup campaign lasted until the quarter-final, when they were knocked out by Sporting Lisbon 4-2 on aggregate. And then in the 2006-07 season, Newcastle again competed in the UEFA Cup when they excuse me, hold on. When they were knocked out by AZ Alkmaar of Holland, and that on that occasion the tie ended in a 4-4 draw, and Alkmaar won the tie on the away goals rule. And then in the 2008-2009 season, Newcastle United suffered a relegation down to the second division, the Championship Tier 2. And in their first season in the Championship, in the 2009-2010 season, the team comfortably won, automatic promotion back up to the FA Premier League when they won the Championship Tier 2 title at the first time of asking, with a winning margin of 11 points over second place West Bromwich Albion and 23 points above third place Nottingham Forest. And then 3 years after being promoted back to the FA Premier League, in the 2012-13 season, Newcastle were again competing in European football. And this time, again, it was the UEFA Europa League, which had succeeded the UEFA Cup for the start of the 2009-2010 season. And Newcastle's Europa League campaign that season lasted until the quarter-final, when they were knocked out 4-2 on aggregate to Portuguese side Benfica. And then 3 years after this Europa League campaign, Newcastle were again relegated to the Championship. And as had happened the last time that they had been relegated, Newcastle were able to win an immediate return to the FA Premier League when they won the Championship Tier 2 title by finishing 1 point ahead of second place Brighton and Hove Albion and 9 points ahead of third place Reading. And in today, this has been the last piece of success that the Magpies have achieved. And Newcastle, I have to say, Newcastle, over the years, have had some truly great players and managers. And it would be, in my opinion, impossible for me to do them all justice by just having an all-time 11. So here, before we look at their an all-time 11, which I managed to find on the Bleacher Report website, here is a Hall of Fame. Now, as you can see, let's have a look at the Hall of Fame and see who's in it. So we've got Peter Beardsley, who played for the club twice, Steve Harper, Joe Harvey, Kevin Keegan, Jimmy Lawrence, Malcolm McDonald, Bill McCracken, Frank Clark, Hughie Gallagher, Frank Brennan, Jackie Milburn, Bobby Mitchell, Bobby Moncourt, Jack Rutherford, Alan Shearer, Pavel Shanachek, Les Ferdinand, Andy Cole, and Shiola Amiobi. So let's now move on and have a look at this all-time 11 I was talking about. So the all-time 11, all right, is something I found on the Bleacher Report website, and it was compiled by a chap by the name of Christopher Simpson. And before I go through the 11 and give you my thoughts on it, if you have any other all-time 11s, or you have any comments about this 11, or both even, or any interesting stories or comments you want to make about the Magpies, please leave it in the comments section of the video. I'll be delighted to read anything you've got to say about this great club. So yeah, now the all-time Newcastle 11, which I found on this Bleacher Report website, as I said, what this guy did, he put Shay Given in goal, a chap by the name of Frank Hudspeth, who I've never heard of, to be quite frank, at left back, Bill McCracken at right back, Bobby Moncourt and Felipe Albert centre back, Gary Speed in centre midfield, Peter Beardsley as an attacking midfielder, and Chris Waddle on the left-hand side of midfield stroke left wing, and Roberto Solano as right winger, right side of midfield, and then up front he went with Alan Shearer and Jackie Milburn. Now, going forward, that side looks absolutely frightening, I have to say. Defensively, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it'll be very entertaining. And the other thing, he also decided to go with Kevin Keegan as manager. So I can guarantee you that team would have played an exciting brand of football. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, so there you have it. So what are your thoughts about the 11? Like I say, please put them in the comment section of the video below. And like I say, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Well, sadly, everyone, that's the end of the today's show. I hope you really enjoyed it. Great stories there. I don't think I'll ever remember the Kevin Keegan's meltdown or the fantastic football that his teams played for whilst he was managing at Newcastle. They were an absolute pleasure to watch, I have to say. Anyway, so, but please remember, if you have any greatest ever Newcastle United teams, please put them in the comment section of the video. I'll be delighted to see what you've put. I mean, there's so many great players that have been in that club. It'd be a really difficult job to do it, I would imagine. Anyway, so yeah, thanks again for watching. And like I said before, if you haven't done so already, please put a like on the video. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on any other videos that I upload. And also, please remember to share it around. Let's not keep it to ourselves. Let's not be selfish. Let's not be selfish. Only joking. Anyway, but more importantly than any of those things, please remember to look after yourselves and stay safe, and try and share a bit of love and happiness and joy around the world. And remember to keep talking as well, because it all helps. It really does. Anyway, but thanks again. I'll be back again on Saturday. It's Wednesday, yeah. So I'll be back again on Saturday with another video for you. Now, in this the next video, it's going to be slightly different to all the other ones we've done so far. Just that I've noticed that I've been talking to you a lot about these teams' exploits in European football, which I'm going to cut back a bit on, because unless they've actually won the European trophy, or they've been runners-up, or they've won or been runners-up in any other international tournament, I'm not going to really mention it, purely because they wouldn't have got points for it in the Warren's Team Talk table. And there's so much stuff that we need to talk about now with these clubs that it's taking up valuable time, which I could be talking to you about something else. So that's the rationale behind it, because I don't want to be on doing this for an hour and going on and on anyway and stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling, so I need to stop, let you go and get on with your day. Anyway, I hope you're well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care now. Bye.